Okay, so this story is very interesting because it's one of the rare instances on this channel where I really didn't do anything wrong, but somehow ended up in the middle of a ridiculous situation. Just absolutely insane. I hope you all enjoy it. Check out my new song. It just came out. I'll put it first link in the description. And let's get into today's story time video topic, whatever you want to call it, right? So today's story time all takes place back in freshman year of high school. Now, freshman year, it was an important year for me, okay? I mean, it was literally my first year of high school. I think it's an important year for everybody. But on top of just being in high school for the first time, I also was just, doing YouTube and stuff, and that was starting to take off a little bit. So, that year was very, I'd say formative for me. I don't know. It was definitely when I, figured out what I wanted to do in life, and that being this. And I was really, really happy because I had this, but also really, really unhappy because school was, not very fun for me. I wasn't very good at it. And yeah, I was just in a weird place of life, but also a good place of life. And on top of that, freshman year was also really wild because a lot of things happened that year that I didn't expect to happen so early on in my high school career. I remember my older brothers had come home from high school when I was in middle school and elementary school, and they'd tell me all these crazy high school stories, and I'd be like, man, that's got to be wild to live through. I'll probably experience that in my senior year or something. I always thought these kind of high school stories would happen later on in high school, but most of mine seem to happen in 9th and 10th grade. Granted, I wasn't there for senior year because I dropped out, but I still think if I went, it would be less stuff happening in senior year than it did in 9th and 10th. Anyway, I'm rambling. 9th grade, all starts off as a normal day, right? Got up out of bed, took a shower, ate some breakfast. I was up pretty early, just getting ready for my day, right? Now, upon getting ready for my day and getting that done, I got on the bus. I went to school. Upon arriving at school, I went and saw my friends at their locker for a little bit, hung out for about 10, 15 minutes. I was there pretty early compared to most of the days I would get there. And then I went to my first period class. Now, first period, nothing out of the ordinary. Second period, nothing out of the ordinary. It wasn't until I got to third period. Third period class, it was my English class. That's really where this gets interesting. So I'm in English class, right? And I had a Gatorade with me. I brought one from home, and I was just drinking it throughout the day. And in English class, I don't know why, I must have been extra thirsty or something, because I was drinking this thing really fast. And about halfway through English class, I start having to pee really bad, right? I'm like, oh shit, I drank too much Gatorade. I gotta pee super bad. No issue, right? I'll just get up and ask the teacher if I can go to the bathroom. So I get up, I go up to my English teacher. I was like, excuse me, Miss Blank, can I go to the bathroom? And she's like, I don't know, can you? I fucking hated when teachers used to say that, dude. I don't understand that. I don't know, can you? It's like, dude, I'm fucking asking you. I was taught to ask the teacher to go to the bathroom during class, so I'm doing that. What do you mean, I don't know, can you? So I just said yes. I answered for myself. And she goes, did you finish your assignment? And I was like, my classwork? She's like, yeah. And I was like, no. And she goes, finish that first. And I was like, I have to pee now, bad. And she's like, is it an emergency? I'm like, sure. And she goes, okay, hurry up. I'm like, okay. So I leave the class. I go to the bathroom. I'm in there. I'm by myself, just pissing at one of the urinals, right? Doing my thing. And after I get done peeing, I turn around. I go to the sink. I start washing my hands. And while I'm washing my hands, 3 guys walk in. I had seen all of them before. They were a grade above me. They were in 10th grade. Yeah, I had seen them before quite a few times. I didn't know any of their names. I would just see them in passing and stuff in the hallway. But these 3 guys walk in. 2 of them look very angry about something. And one of them looks very, very happy about something. And he's holding his phone out. So I was like, okay, weird, whatever. I'm not going to question it. They're not my friends. I'm not getting involved, right? So I hurry up and wash my hands. I dry my hands off. And I start walking out of the bathroom door. Now, as I'm walking out of the bathroom door, I turn around and I look, and all 3 of them are staring at me. It's like they were waiting for me to leave the bathroom. So I just kept moving. I walked out of there. I thought to myself, that was fucking weird. Why were they all staring at me? What are they about to do in there? That's really weird, right? Didn't think much of it. Really didn't. Just kept on moving. Went back to my class, sat down, and I didn't think anything of it at all, right? So I'm back in my English class, right? And my English teacher loved to keep the classroom door open. Don't really know why. She used to say it would help circulate the air in the classroom, but the hallway was just as fucking stuffy and no airflow at all, just like the classroom, because we had no windows that were open ever at my school. But anyway, we're in the classroom, right? And I get back from the bathroom, the door's open, and I had a habit where instead of paying attention to the teacher, I would always pay attention to what's going on in the hallway because she'd leave the door open. And while I'm just staring into space, aka the hallway, I see those 3 guys that I just saw in the bathroom running down the hallway past my classroom door. And one of the guys all of a sudden had red stains on his t-shirt, right? Now, my first thought was, holy shit, that guy's bleeding. But then I was like, wait, no, they couldn't have been fighting or something, because they were all in there together, and now they're running together. Like, they're clearly friends, you know? Then my second thought was, oh, maybe they ate a slushie, and he, like, spilled it on himself. Because I had done that before. My school had a slushie machine, and there was red, and there was blue raspberry, and the red, when you spilled it on a white t-shirt, it kind of looked like blood. So I was like, okay, maybe it was that. Well, about 15 minutes later, at this point, class is about to be over with, right? Like, it's almost done. An announcement comes over our classroom and asks for my name to come to the principal's office. And like always, everyone in my class turned and looked at me with that look of like, what'd you do, Austin? What'd you do? And I'm looking around super confused because I'm like, yo, what the fuck did I do? I didn't do anything at all today. I've just been chilling. I haven't done shit. So I got up, grabbed my things, waved goodbye to my teacher, and I left. And I went up to the main office, right? Because I was like, all right, I gotta go talk to the principal. So I get up to the main office, I sit down, right? And then like a minute after I sit down, another kid walks into the main office and sits down next to me. It was the same kid I just saw running through the hallway with his friends, and it was the one that had the stains on his shirt, the red stains. And he sits down next to me, and I look over at him, and I was like, yo, like, what's on your shirt? He goes, oh, nothing. And I was like, I just saw you in the bathroom, and that wasn't there, and then I saw you running down the hallway with these stains on your shirt. Like, what happened between then and now, bro? Like, what'd you do? I'm not trying to be, like, super nosy or anything. It's just, like, I saw you guys in the bathroom. That stain was not on your shirt. And then I see y'all running, and you got this big stain on your shirt. Just got me confused. And he laughs, and he's like, I just get really bad nosebleeds. Like, horrible day for a white shirt. And I felt bad for him, because I also used to get really bad nosebleeds, and I knew how shitty that was, not only because it sucked to get one, but also it would stain your clothes. So I just kind of said that to him. I was like, oh, man, I feel for you. Used to get them a lot. Not fun. And he's like, yeah, man. Oh, well. So then I had a follow-up question. I was like, why are you up here? Like, why'd they call you up? He goes, I don't know. And I was like, bro, me too. Like, I just randomly got called up here. And he's like, yeah, man, that makes 2 of us. And then all of a sudden, 2 other guys walk in, 2 other students. Guess which students? It was the 2 that he was hanging out with in the bathroom and the same 2 he was running down the hallway with. So I'm like, huh, okay. They did some shit. And I'm getting mixed up in it, right? Gotta be. So they sit down and they're all like talking to each other, like giggling and shit and laughing. And I'm sitting there like trying to hear what they're saying, but I can't really hear. And I just spoke up. I was like, yo, like, what the fuck did y'all do? Because I'm called up here for it too. And I don't want to be involved. And they all play stupid. They're all just like, we didn't do anything. And I was like, okay. And after I said that, the door opens, the principal's office, and my principal comes out and she goes, Austin, you first. I'm like, okay. So I walk in there, not knowing what I'm walking into at all. I walk in to her office and I see the school cop. He's sitting at the table in the corner and he's like, sit down, Austin. So I sit down and I was like, listen, I don't know why I'm here, like genuinely. And the cop goes, okay. And I was like, I swear. He's like, I just have some questions. I'm like, okay. And he goes, first question. And right when he says that, the principal like sits down at the table with us. And he goes, were you just in the bathroom like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes ago? I was like, yeah. He goes, what happened in there? I was like, I went in, I peed, I washed my hands, I left as those other guys walked in, the ones that are out there in the little waiting room, and that was it. He goes, that was it. I was like, yeah. He goes, I don't believe you. And I was like, what do you mean you don't believe me? He's like, I don't believe you. I'm like, what do you think happened in there? He goes, well, judging by the fact that there's blood all over that kid's shirt out there, I think there was a fist fight. One that you were involved in because you were all in there at the same time. And I was like, you looked at the cameras, didn't you? Because like you must have, because you know that I was in there. He's like, yeah, I saw you walk in there just like they walked in there. And I was like, okay, so you also saw me walk out like literally seconds after they walked in. I wasn't in there long enough to be in a fist fight. Literally, I'm not kidding, guys. It was like seconds. So I don't know why he thought I was involved in this. I left when they got there pretty much. And he goes, it doesn't matter. You were in there. The door closed when they walked in. You were all in the same room. And now we have a student with blood on his shirt. So I want to know what happened in there. And I was like, officer, I don't know. And he goes, all right, go back out in the waiting room. I'll call you back in later. I'm like, okay. So I leave, I get up, and I sit down in the chair next to the other kids. My principal then proceeds to pick out the kid that had the blood on his shirt and called him in for questioning. And he goes in there, door closes, and I'm just sitting there in the little waiting room with these other kids. And I look over at them and I was like, guys, what the fuck did you do in there? Because I'm getting questioned like I was a part of some fight. What were y'all doing in there? Like, seriously. And they're still playing stupid. They're just like, we were just hanging out. Like, we didn't do anything. I was like, bullshit. Why is that dude bleeding? He's not just getting a random nosebleed. I don't believe that anymore. And one of them goes, okay, what'd you say to the cop? And I was like, that's not the answer to my question. I want to know why that kid was bleeding. And he's like, he just gets nosebleeds, like, easily. And I was like, cool. So you guys didn't fight in there at all. And the kid just like shakes his head no. And I was like, all right. And then he asked me again. He goes, what'd you say to the cops? And I was like, nothing, because I don't know what's going on. I'm literally saying I don't know, because I don't know. And this kid goes, okay, keep it that way. Keep saying you don't know, and you'll be fine. And I was like, bro, just tell me what happened. I won't like snitch on y'all, but I want to know what happened. And he goes, nothing. And I was like, okay, whatever. So like 5 minutes later, they come out, they call in another kid. They question him for like 10 minutes. He comes out, they call in the other kid, question him for like 10 minutes. Then they finally called me back in, right? And I sit down, and the cop looks at me and he goes, okay, this time you have the chance to tell the truth. And if your story doesn't align with what they all just told me, then we know someone's lying. And I was like, dude, why am I being interrogated right now? I didn't do anything. He goes, stop that. All right, listen, what happened from when you went in that bathroom to when you left? I was like, I'll say it again. I walked in, I peed, I was washing my hands, they walked in, I left. That was it. And he goes, you didn't see anything happen? I was like, the only thing I saw was two of them looked kind of angry about something. One of them was smiling, had a phone in his hand. He was like scrolling his phone or something. I don't know. And then I walked out. And when I turned around and I was walking out of that door and looked back at them, they were looking at me with kind of a look of like, get the hell out of our bathroom. Like they didn't want me in there. That's it. I didn't do anything. I didn't see anything. I didn't see them do anything. Like, I don't know what happened in there. And the cop goes, so you didn't see anyone get hit? No punches thrown? No one fell down? Nothing like that? I was like, no. Did that happen? He's like, I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. And I was like, no, not at all. He goes, okay, go back out there, have a seat. So I go back out there, I have a seat. And this time they don't call anybody in. I just left. They closed the door. The principal and the cop are talking. And I'm just sitting there with all of these dudes, right? And I couldn't take it anymore. I had to know the truth. So I did something a little fucked up, all right? I lied to these kids. I looked at the kid with the blood on his shirt, and I was like, yo, dude, all right, I need to know what the fuck y'all did in there. Like, you gotta tell me. And if you don't tell me, when they call me back in there for questioning, I'm gonna tell them that you were all smoking crack. And he laughs, and I was like, I'm just kidding, but I'm gonna tell them that you guys were doing some shit if you don't tell me what's happening. So either I lie on your name, or you tell me the truth, and we just put this shit to bed. And he goes, all right, look. So when you walked out, bro, we were slapboxing for a Facebook video. And homie over there, and he points to his friend, he's like, he threw a punch. And I got pissed. And then I threw a punch. And we started like fighting, like actually fighting. And he hit me pretty good in the nose. That's why I was bleeding. And like right when we finished, fighting, a teacher walked in and saw me bleeding and saw like homie holding his phone up recording. So we all ran. And I was like, oh, that's why I saw you guys run by the class. And he's like, yeah. And then we all went back to our classes and the announcements came over and we all got called up. And I was like, yep, okay. Thank you for being honest. So now I knew what happened. They were slapboxing, turned into a real fight. One kid got hurt. Teacher walked in after it was over and saw the aftermath. And then everyone got sent to the main office because they want to know what's going on, right? So like a minute later, the principal and the school cop come out. And I really thought they were about to call one of us back again to be questioned. But the principal just goes, all right, look, none of you guys are talking. Clearly, nobody wants to tell the truth. You guys had the option to do the right thing today, and you chose not to, and that makes me very disappointed in all of you as students. But go back to your classrooms. And we all got up, and we started leaving, and she pointed out the kid with the blood on his shirt, and she was like, you either go to your gym locker and find another shirt to wear, or I'll call your mom and get you a replacement for the day, because you cannot be wearing that all day when it's all stained like that. He goes, it's okay, I have one in my gym locker, I'll go get it now. So after that, we all leave, right? We all walk out of the office. All of us are in a group, all four of us, we're walking down towards our classrooms, down the stairs, and Mr. Blood on his shirt looks over at me and he goes, bro, I can't believe we all just got away with that. And I was like, nah, man, y'all got away with that. I was not a part of it. I got mixed up with that shit. And he's like, well, thank you for not saying anything. Like, they're just not snitching. I was like, bro, there was nothing to snitch on. I didn't know what happened. I genuinely was telling the truth. I did not know. Like, you literally didn't tell me until it was the last minute, and then we all left anyway. And he's like, okay, so does that mean you were gonna snitch? I was like, no, I didn't know until we were leaving. And he's like, all right, cool. So after this, we go back to our classes, right? And I thought, that's the end of it, right? You know, they got away with it. They fought in the bathroom, got away with it, whatever. Well, I get home later that day, right? And I'm on my bed like 2 hours after the school day's over, and I'm on my laptop, right? And I go on Facebook, and I see the video of them beating the shit out of each other in the bathroom on my timeline. And I was like, no way these kids got interrogated and questioned by the school cop for like a good hour just for them to go home and post it on the internet for the whole school to see. Like, no way they still posted the video. And I remember I replied to the post and I said, you guys are fucking dumb. That's all I said, because I was like, yo, they're gonna get caught. Like, I know they're gonna get caught. Guess what? Next day I went to school, they weren't there. Day after that, they weren't there. I didn't see them in school for a minute. It was like a good week. And when they finally were back, I walked up to one of them and I was like, yo, so what happened? And he goes, we all got suspended. And I was like, how'd they catch you? He goes, the Facebook video. And I was like, wow, you don't say. And he's like, I know, it was fucking stupid. I didn't think it'd be a problem because, you know, it's after school I posted it and the situation was already done. And I was like, bro, the situation was done until y'all reopened it with that video. Like, it was done until you posted that and reopened the whole situation. He was like, yeah, I know that now. And we both just kind of laughed about it for a little bit. And I ended up like talking to all of them individually when they all came back, and like we all just kind of joked about it. But you're probably wondering, Austin, why didn't you get suspended? They got suspended. Why didn't you? Well, the video they posted kind of saved me, because in the video of them fighting, I'm nowhere to be seen. And on the security cameras that they clearly watched, I walked out before any fight happened. So they never called me back up to the office. They never suspended me, never got in any trouble. I was actually good. And I actually saw my principal shortly after this whole thing unfolded, like after they got suspended and stuff. And she actually apologized to me for like getting me mixed up in that. She just didn't know who was, you know, involved with what, and they were trying to get to the bottom of it. So that was cool. It was cool that she was like apologizing. But in the end, yeah, they got suspended and in a shit ton of trouble. I still can't believe they posted the video on the internet, dude. I still can't believe that. And look, I know someone's gonna comment and be like, bro, drop the link, drop the video. I'm not doing that, bro. Like, they are literally kids in that video. They're fighting. It's violent. Not posting that. On top of that, I don't even think it exists anymore. Like, this was back in like freshman year on Facebook. I don't even have the same account anymore. I don't have the same people added. I don't think I could even find it if I tried. But even if I did stumble across it one day, I would not post that shit. I am not posting two kids fighting. That is not cool. And that leads me to the final part of this story. Moral of the story is, don't be violent. Violence ain't the answer. Also, don't punch each other for fun. I can't believe they were doing that. Like, they were slapping each other at first, like slap boxing, but then one of them threw a punch and they like punched each other and fought, but were able to like stay friends afterwards, and like they were doing it for fun. I don't know, man. It's so weird. I never did any of that with my friends. I don't know. I find that a little strange. I think if my friend punched me so hard my nose started bleeding, I wouldn't want to be friends with him anymore. But yeah, guys, that's the end of the story time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below, and subscribe if you're new. I will see you all later. Peace. 'Cause you won't let me be. Maybe outside, let me